presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we can do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death. And
hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Thinking Logically. I'm your host, Joseph Anthony Corsai. With me in studio is our amazing producer, Ryan. Ryan, you had the right strategy for Trump last week. He was cool, calm, and collected. Maybe you should be the campaign manager.
Did you see that? I was thinking that when I was watching it. I'm thinking to myself, you know what? This is the smart way for Trump to go. And he really didn't have to do too much because the other guy did a lot against himself for Trump, right?
The other guy did even less. All right. And on the phone, back in Allegheny County, it's Mr. Gordy. Mark, in less than a week, we went from who's Trump's VP going to be to who's Kamala Harris's VP going to be. What happened?
Joe, I wish I was in the studio today with you and Ryan. I mean, this is it has been one of the most insane news cycles in the last 3 days I could think of. What happened is right. Like Ryan said 2 weeks ago, there's no life in that body, and we saw that firsthand Thursday night. But you know what, Joe? We beat Medicare, so congratulations.
That was just 2 clips, too. We could have done a full 90 minutes of clips and just stayed at home for today's episode, Mark, apparently. But let's get started. Quite a lot has changed since last episode. Joe Biden has become a millstone around the neck of the Democrats. Any narrative they want to go with is now easily countered by anyone with a brain. You can't accuse Trump of being dishonest when Joe Biden can't be honest with the public about his own health conditions. They talk about Trump not being mentally fit, but what happened Thursday night was an embarrassment to our nation on the world stage. Are you shocked after what happened Thursday night and the fallout over the weekend and into today? Maybe it's time you start to question the people giving you the news. Because if you were listening to this show, you knew. We knew. We're just vindicated now. It wasn't that hard to see if you just open your eyes and watch and listen to this corpse, this cadaver of a man that's been shuffling around the White House for the last 3.5 years. The signs were all there for years. Think back. This president called on a dead member of Congress during a public event. And to make it worse, the public event was a World Hunger Conference that was honoring the Congresswoman as a co-sponsor. Remember, where's Jackie? Where's Jackie? Also, let's not forget about the numerous dead former foreign leaders Joe Biden has claimed he recently spoke to. What kind of seance is going on over there? Then there was the handshaking. The handshaking with people that weren't there either. President Ghost Hunter. Who can forget who can forget how absolutely no one in the media noticed the mental decline when President Joe Biden would answer pre-submitted questions during press conferences? Off note cards, mind you, from journalists whose names he knew in advance. How funny is it that's just hilarious to me. But what's even more funny is no one is mentioning Kamala. Instead, there's just opinion piece after opinion piece talking about skipping right over Kamala and going straight to Hillary Clinton or Michelle Obama. We should be the ones writing the Sunday op-eds, writing the opinion pieces that everyone reads and talks about. It should be us. We had it right from day one. But instead of listening to us, when we were screaming about the mental decline of Joe Biden, once again, we were called crazy conspiracy theorists, cheap fakers even. Remember, it's only been a week since we were accused of editing or photoshopping in this president's mental decline. Now, just a week later, the new narrative is that Joe Biden isn't fit to be the president and needs to be replaced as the nominee. But forget about who the nominee is going to be for a second, and let's just think logically. How is Joe Biden going to withdraw from the race without resigning from the presidency? He's not fit. It's a national security issue. Who's running the show? Who's running the show? I'm serious. Who's running the country? We made some questionable moves the last 3 years, starting with the border, going into Ukraine, and most recently that pier, that $500 million pier pretty much. Aside from the media, who else is involved in this cover-up of the president's mental health? I can think of one, the doctor. His doctor said he was vigorous. Mark, what happened since Thursday? It's a totally different world, is it not?
Joe, is this where we talk about the debate on Thursday? Oh, gosh. Joe, we were told that he was vigorous. We were told that he was sharp. We were told that this is the best he's ever been. Morning Joe. Joe Scarborough said that. Alejandro Mayorkas said it's tough to keep up with him in meetings because he's so sharp. I've been asking this question, Joe, and you know I've been saying this for the last 3 years. Who is running the country? It's not him. Now we know for sure it's not him. Everyone saw that. It's his wife, Dr. Joe Biden, the first female president in American history. That is undeniable now. Okay? We know that she is the one pulling the strings. She is the one calling all the shots. Thursday was an abomination. I mean, it was easily the worst debate performance by a sitting president and maybe any candidate in history. This is what happens, Joe, when you have an administration where everything, literally everything is scripted out. Everything, it's like you're watching a show. Everything is scripted to a T, from interviews, like you said, to questions given in advance. Everything is scripted. Thursday it was a glimpse into what happens when things go off script. He was at Camp David for a week. What was he doing there? Who was? And now they're trying to blame his advisors, Ron Klain, Anita Dunn, some of these other people that are tight in the Biden circle. They're trying to pass the blame off to these people. It's not their fault. They probably knew this was going to happen. I thought Trump was walking into a trap, Joe. I think it was actually Biden that may have been walking into the trap. They had to have known that this was going to happen. He was awful. I fell asleep, full disclosure, like around 10:30, 10:40-ish, like when it was close to being over. I woke up an hour later to Van Jones borderline crying on CNN. And I thought, what? Is this how they're going to spin it? I mean, it was a complete... I have never seen a media meltdown like we saw Thursday to Friday and then to Saturday, and we'll get into...
You would have thought a comet was coming crashing to Earth in the next hour. It was that bad. It was that bad.
Let's look at the New York Times. 1 week apart. How misleading videos are trailing Biden as he battles age doubts. To 1 week later, to serve his country, President Biden should leave the race. I sent that to you on Friday, and I just was like, LOL.
It's a week apart.
This is how it's going to be. What else? CNN literally.
I just want our audience to know before the show started. Mark actually called me and was like, "Do I have to read all these things you put on the board? I don't think I could do it. It's too much stuff. It's literally 8 hours of media coverage. We'll try to get to the best we can. I don't know."
Yeah, I'm just picking and choosing some of these things here. From Sean Davis on X, CNN literally went from crying that Donald Trump might not accept election results to immediately plotting how to overturn every single Democrat primary election result. Not sure I've ever seen anything like it.
I mean, I wanted to make a point. You said he back to him being at Camp David preparing for 7 days. How many occasions were there where he finished and they were like, Mr. President, you have 82 seconds left?
Yeah. From the New York Post, eye-popping 72% don't think Biden has the mental and physical strength to be the president.
That's the election right there. That's it. That's the election.
From Ryan Gerdusky on X, Seltzer says Trump is up nearly 20 points in Iowa. Ralston says Biden is losing Nevada and costing Dems down ballot. Gretchen Whitmer says Michigan is no longer winnable for Biden.
Last week, didn't a poll come out saying Biden was slightly up in rural America too? That would be Iowa. That would be places like Iowa.
He was up 50 to 49 in rural America.
Now he's down by 20 points after. Hey, if the numbers are real, it tells you all you need to know.
Yeah. Joe, what were some of your favorite moments from the debate? I'll tell you mine. Well, first of all, like within the first 5 minutes, as soon as he opened his mouth, I thought to myself, this isn't going to go well for him. My favorite part, and I told you this yesterday, is when he said Trump has the morals of an alley cat.
He should have
Like,
said your son has the sex drive of an alley cat. I mean, what is with this guy? The morals of an alley cat. That is a pretty fun. That is hilarious. That got me laughing out loud.
An alley cat, yeah. What about when he claimed that the Border Patrol Union endorsed him?
That was the funniest moment. And Ryan, you actually texted me that. I don't know if it's true, but they posted this, and it was the official Border Patrol.
It was almost immediately.
It was. They were fact checking Joe Biden in live time. What did they say? To be clear, we never have and never will endorse Biden from the Border Patrol Union on X.
With hundreds of thousands of followers on X.
There was just honestly there were so many favorite moments of mine. The whole thing, how Trump. What I couldn't understand is how they let the moderators let Joe Biden say that he's never lost a U.S. service member under his watch, whenever we know for a fact that's not correct with Afghanistan. In other situations too, there was just a Navy SEAL that was washed away in the Middle East and is presumed dead. I mean, we could go on and on. That was another lie.
What about the 13 service members that died in Afghanistan? The 3 died in the Jordan, Syria, Iraq border.
He repeated the suckers and losers lie too, Mark.
Suckers and losers. He repeated that. Yep. And then the media will say that Trump lied the whole time and no one fact checked him. I mean, he exaggerated on some things, but Biden lied through his teeth the entire time.
I want to make a point about something he didn't exaggerate on, and they called him out for lying. The VA Mission Act. So the VA Mission Act, that was signed by Trump in 2018. I'm sorry, the Veterans Choice Program is what they said he was lying about, creating the Veterans Choice Program. Well, the VA Mission Act was signed by Trump in 2018, and that replaced the Veterans Choice Program and gave more veterans access to private health care. And it actually, I think it was paid for by the VA. How many stories on that versus the insulin lie Biden told? We heard all kind of stuff about the Veterans Choice Program, but nothing about the insulin lie, nothing about the U.S. service members killed. And like I said, what Trump said about the Veterans Choice, it wasn't a lie. It was politics. It was wording. Again, it's all right there. The media could say this. They could fact check this. Fox News could tomorrow, but they don't. I don't know why.
No, they don't. You know what? But I will give Jake Tapper and Dana Bash credit. I thought they were great moderators. They did what they were supposed to do. I mean, they asked the questions. You know, listen, I thought Trump was good. He was actually very good in this debate setting with the restrictions of the microphone and the time and things like that. I thought Trump was very good. He could have been better though, Joe, in my opinion. He danced around a lot of things. He really didn't answer some questions. They asked him about questions, and they had to come back and say, Mr. President, what about this question we asked you here? He really could have buried Biden if he would have hammered home facts, hammered home accomplishments from his administration a little bit more concisely. I thought he could have been better. Let's put it that way. He danced around too many things.
He did it though. I mean, he hit some issues very hard. When Biden was talking about the veterans, oh, you want to talk about veterans? How many are living on the street? How many are homeless? How many illegals are living in luxury 5-star hotels for free? Then he was talking about childcare. You want to talk about childcare? People are coming across the border and raping children. Look, 9/11 looked better than Joe Biden's performance Thursday, but there's still some people that want to back him. What was the one, Ro Khanna? Did she pen an opinion piece, or he pen an opinion piece?
Homeless gender.
Yeah, well, I never know. You just never know with a name like Ro. This is a real article. This is from the article. Rocky wasn't the most eloquent in speech, but he was a fighter. His character conveyed his eloquence. Our message: Biden's character is his eloquence. Okay, now there are still some people that are fighting this rearguard action in defense of Biden. It doesn't work. You see how they sound foolish? Rocky Balboa is a fictional character from Philadelphia. And the fictional character that they're comparing Joe Biden to, has brain damage? He already has brain damage. Comparing Joe Biden to Rocky Balboa is the definition of a cheap fake. You know, you said leading up to the debate 8 days, they could have had him make an appearance or two each day leading up to the debate. They could have said, yeah, you know, he didn't look very good, but he's strong on the issues at least with that performance. He's too busy running the country to prep 24/7 for a debate like Trump was able to. And that might have worked. Instead, they told the world he was prepping at Camp David for over a week and couldn't be disturbed. And no one in the media asked why he needed a week. If it was just a bad night, release the Her audio and prove it. Right, Mark?
Well, I think hopefully we'll see those soon. You know, I look for more leaks to come out like this, Joe. I look for the Her tapes to be leaked. I look for other things to be leaked, videos, audio, things like that, if they really want to take him down completely, because he is not stepping down. Or should I say Joe Biden isn't stepping down. They aren't going. They're just not. He's going to be the candidate, like I said before. We disagreed on this, but they're just not going away.
All right, like I said, does it make a lot more sense why no one in the Democrat Party cared when Joe Biden missed the deadline to be on the Ohio ballot? Does that make more sense now? So, Mark, I think you'll agree. Take a good look at what you saw Thursday. Get out there and rub people who support Biden's nose in that. That's all I could say.
I'm kind of amazed that this guy just less than 4 years ago had gotten more votes than any president ever in the history of this country. The guy that I seen on TV last Thursday night.
Most votes in history. Why would they replace him, right? Most votes in history.
Right.
All right. We're going to take a break here, but when we return, according to Axios, President Joe Biden is only dependably engaged from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Okay, actually, stop the music, I guess, because since he can't even work 9 to 5, there's no reason to play 9 to 5. 10 to 4. 10 to 4 is all he could give us, not 9 to 5. Well, I guess we better hope nothing happens early in the morning or in the middle of the night. We'll go through all the things that happen after 5 p.m. and before 9 a.m. in this country's history when we return to Thinking Logically on 99.3 FM WBVP. You know, when Joe Biden shuffles in front of the cameras to answer scripted questions during the day, he lies like Don King. But what you don't know is, when he goes to sleep at night, he lies like an Egyptian king because he uses MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Grown only in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River, its long staple cotton makes it ultra soft and breathable. Use the promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings on this amazing product.
The place for news, sports, and entertainment. You're listening to Beaver County Radio, 99.3 FM and WBVP, live from the all-new Fry Transportation Studios.
Hey guys, it's Joe from Thinking Logically here to tell you about a company I've been using since I got my learner's permit. Grossi & Associates. Using their state-of-the-art equipment, Grossi & Associates offers collision repair for all makes and models, both foreign and domestic. There's a reason why they are voted Best of the Valley year in and year out. They are the collision experts. Grossi & Associates. Call today for a free estimate. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor.
Mark Galla with Remax Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Galla of Remax Select Realty, going above and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Hello and welcome back to Thinking Logically here on 99.3 FM WBVP. That was Early in the Morning by the Gap Band, and we have a president that cannot get up early in the morning. Song does make you wonder, this recent story from Axios about Joe Biden. What happens if there's a national crisis at 9 a.m.? Also, assuming he's the candidate still, this guy's going to be asleep when the winner is announced on the night of November 5th. But this next story is truly amazing, not only because of the substance of the story, but because of the timing of the story. So this is from John Hassan, or maybe it's Hassan on X. Per Axios, Biden is only deeply engaged, and that's in quotations, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's, for those, aren't lacking in math, that's 6 hours a day. And some from the article, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., he's deeply engaged, and many of his public events in front of the cameras are held within those hours. Outside of that time range, or while traveling abroad, Biden is more likely to have verbal miscues and become fatigued, his aides told Axios. And then John Hassan goes into a thread of some of the recent events that happened before 10 a.m., but after 4 p.m. The Kabul suicide bombing occurred at 9:20 in the morning. Biden was just getting up. Russia invaded Ukraine at 8:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Joe Biden was not there for that one, apparently. This past January, Iran proxies killed 3 U.S. soldiers in Jordan, and that happened sometime after 4 p.m. I'm not sure the exact time. Hamas, remember October? They invaded Israel at 11:30 p.m. Biden was long gone by then. Mark, why is this coming out now? You admit that is weird that it's coming out now. And again, how can he be the president if he can only work 6 hours? This is a part-time job that he's doing here.
Well, let's talk about his golf game for a minute, Joe. This exchange.
He can't even golf a full round of golf. Let's put that. He can't even golf a full round of golf in 6 hours, probably. But go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
The way he moves, no way. They were arguing over their handicaps, which was one of the most amazing exchanges in presidential debate history. And Trump was right. He said, the fact that you said you're a 6 handicap is the biggest lie of all. That was the biggest lie of all. I've seen his golf swing. It's on video. And believe me, he's not breaking 120 for 18 holes. Believe me. What about when he said that women were raped by their sisters, Joe?
You know what? I was very proud of Trump.
Sisters.
I wanted to know the statistics behind that, but I was very proud of Trump. I can't believe I'm saying this, for not bringing up the Ashley Biden diary and thing when he was talking about rape and incest. He didn't talk about the Ashley Biden diary. That was probably good in hindsight.
Yeah.
But that is
Trump
a weird thing to bring
strange.
up. Rape by your sisters.
Yes. Trump, I think I speak for all of us, and I just said I was borderline flabbergasted and laughing out loud at multiple times during this debate. But let's talk about, Joe, the G7 summit that just happened in Italy, I believe, a couple of weeks ago. I don't think he attended the dinner, right?
No.
Of the world leaders, right? He wasn't there. We saw him, a couple of those cheap fake videos, we'll call them, where he wandered off to, whatever. But this is from, again, John Hassan on X. Holy crap, what a story from Wall Street Journal. At the EU-U.S. summit, Biden's mental ability varied even within meetings. Biden needed Anthony Blinken to help him read his talking points. Biden was the only world leader who missed the G7 dinner. Joe, listen. There is no way that this was a secret, in these circles. These world leaders, they know what he's like. They see him at these events. I mean, we thought that he was going to be pumped up with medication. You know, we joked about it last week. They must not have given him anything. So that makes you wonder, like, what happened at the State of the Union address? You know, he was a completely different person.
He was a maniac during the State of the Union address. He came out hot for 5 minutes, and then he didn't take a breath for the first 5 minutes of the debate, and then he was just, the air went out of him, out of his cells, or whatever the expression you want to use. But
people said he wasn't blinking at all during the debate either.
Like a great white
What
shark.
about this, Joe?
With them
I
black
don't know
eyes.
if Ryan saw this too, but did you see the videos of Dana Bash kind of like subtly pointing to Jake Tapper?
Yes.
When he was talking to try to get his attention to look at Jake Tapper?
Yes. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's so, if you're watching that, you think Americans are the only one watching it. You don't think anyone in foreign nations are watching it and saying, wow, this is an open invitation to do whatever we want for the next 4 to 5 months.
Right. So I have to ask you, Joe, you know, coming away from this, the implications in November, right? If you were a Trump voter and you watched that, or I'm sorry, a Biden voter and you watched that, you either came away with that saying, I'm still going to vote for Biden, I'm going to vote for RFK, or I'm not going to vote at all. That's probably the three things.
If I was a Biden supporter, I'd change my identity after that debate. I'm not kidding you. I'd change my identity and go live in the mountains somewhere. Not the mountains where Trump supporters are training.
You're probably thinking, I'm voting for Trump, I'm voting for RFK, or I'm not going to vote at all. I mean, there's no way an independent voter could have watched that and said, I'm going to vote for Biden. I don't know.
No one's going to vote for Biden. It's finally exposed. We got it exposed. That was just 90 minutes. Now that opens up the window. So when they come out and they make a statement about this statement, well, how come the president can't come out and just make a 30-minute statement or a 30-second statement or a 5-minute statement? Why we got to get these statements on paper? Why can't he come out and tell us how he feels in person? Why it's not going to work anymore. We're seeing it. The curtain has been pulled back. We can see the little guy.
The curtain's been pulled back, Joe, and that's a good segue into what I want to say next. And I've been saying this now for quite some time, and I've said it on the show. No one is going to believe it if Biden wins, and now that's even more apparent. All right, and I found this on X, and I said, "Oh, I've been saying this now for a while." Let me read to you this tweet here from. On X that I saw. In my opinion, the replacement of Biden is mostly to give them a more believable scenario for the election steal cheat. As it is now, nobody will believe Biden winning is plausible without rigging. It's all propaganda and manipulation. But I've been saying, no one's going to believe it if he wins.
So who will they believe winning? You're going to have to pull someone in there. People say, oh, they can't do it. It's too late. No, it's not. It's just too late for traditional methods. We don't know what they have up their sleeve. We can't figure out what their plan is. All we can say is it's not going to work with Biden. They know it's not going to work with Biden. Something's going to change. How? I don't know. But when it happens, I'll be there, point my finger saying, see, I told you so. I told you so. Just like everything else. Just like COVID. Just like we could go on and on and on.
Well, I will say one thing that has changed before we move on to our next topic here is that Trump is leading Biden in New Hampshire. This is from Leading Report, a state that has not gone red since 2000 in a poll conducted by St. Anselm College. He's up in tied in Virginia, up in New Jersey, tied or up one in Minnesota. So a lot of other states are now in play, Joe.
Good. All right. We're going to cover the 2 Supreme Court decisions. Actually, we're just going to cover the one now, and then we're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to cover the Trump immunity one. But the Chevron decision got released, I think, the day after the debate, if I'm not mistaken, Mike. And this is from Spike Cohen on X. You can follow him at Real Spike Cohen on X. He sums it up pretty well. For those who don't understand what Chevron defense is and why SCOTUS ended it, here is the long and the short of it. A family fishing company, Looper Bright Enterprises, was being driven out of business because they couldn't afford the $700 per day that they were being charged by the National Marine Fisheries Service to monitor their company. The thing is, federal law doesn't authorize the NMFS to charge businesses for this. They just decided to start doing it in 2013. Why did they think they could get away with just charging people without any legal authorization? Because in 1984, in the Chevron decision, the Supreme Court decided that regulatory agencies were the, quote, experts in their field, and the courts should just defer to their interpretation of the law. So for the past 40 years, federal agencies have been able to, quote, interpret laws to mean whatever they want, and the courts had to just go with it. It was called Chevron defense, and it put bureaucrats in charge of the country. Remember 2020, everyone? It's how OSHA was able to decide that everyone who worked for a large company had to get the jab or be fired. No law gave them that authority. They just made it up. It's how the ATF was able to decide a piece of plastic was a, quote, machine gun. It's how the NCRS was able to decide that a small puddle was a protected wetland. It's how out-of-control agencies have been able to create rules out of thin air and force you to comply, and the courts had to simply defer to them because they were, quote, experts. Imagine if your local police could just arrest you for any reason and no judge or jury was allowed to determine if you actually committed a crime or not. Just off to jail you go. That's what Chevron defense was. Mark, it's over. Can we start dismantling the deep state now? That seems to be the new narrative across right-wing social media.
Yeah, this is a big win for Americans. Let's put it that way. They said, from what, and we were no legal experts here, but from what we have read on this decision, this is the beginning of the dismantling of the administrative deep state. So, like you said, these agencies can't just make their own rules and regulations anymore, Joe. So, correct me if I'm wrong here. Congress will have more on their plate then to make these rules and regulations that govern these agencies. Is that correct?
I believe so. That's how it should be, I think.
Okay.
Would you want, like I said, what's an expert these days? Define what an expert is. I think it needed a change. You just don't realize what happened in 2020 can never happen again with the so-called experts, and it's across all different walks of our society. Experts.
Yeah, I'm all for dismantling anything that resembles the deep state, and people have said this is again the beginning of the end of the administrative deep state.
Okay, before we do Trump immunity, we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna cover the Trump immunity as well as, when we return, Pride Month is over, but the crazy stories from it aren't. Stay tuned when we come back. You're listening to Thinking Logically on 99.3 FM WBVP. It's Joe again from Thinking Logically, here to tell you about one of my favorite clothing items, the MyPillow hoodie. Two things I love the most about this hoodie are how it fits and how it feels. This hoodie is extremely roomy, and its terry cloth material makes it lighter than any other hoodie I own. Use promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings. The MyPillow hoodie. Get yours today. Cash for your house. PGHbuyers.com. If you have an unwanted house but don't want the hassle of selling, visit PGHbuyers.com to see if PGHbuyers.com can help. No inspections and a fair cash offer. Visit PGHbuyers.com to sell that unwanted property for a fair price today. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Galla with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Galla of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond. You know, when Joe Biden shuffles in front of the cameras to answer scripted questions during the day, he lies like Don King. But what you don't know is, when he goes to sleep at night, he lies like an Egyptian king because he uses MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Grown only in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River, its long staple cotton makes it ultra soft and breathable. Use the promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings on this amazing product.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically on 99.3 WBVP, brought to you by Mitchell's Jewelers. Remember, it takes an enormous amount of pressure to make a diamond, so why should you put yourself under any more pressure when buying one? Don't. Go to Mitchell's Jewelers, where the choice is as clear as their diamonds. Mitchell's Jewelers, located at 2454 Mill Street in Aliquippa, PA. That's Mitchell's Jewelers, located at 2454 Mill Street in Aliquippa, PA. Remember, diamonds are forever, and so is Trump's immunity, presidential immunity. So the Supreme Court ruled today, this is the granddaddy of them all, that presidents cannot be held criminally liable for official actions of government. They ruled the president has absolute immunity for his core constitutional responsibilities, and he also has the presumption of immunity for official acts that are outside those core constitutional responsibilities. We'll get to this later. I'm having a little trouble understanding what that means, but also no immunity for his personal acts. So for a president's personal acts, no immunity. Now, in my opinion, the only thing that this leaves Trump open for is his speech on January 6th, because that was a personal act. But if you listen to the whole speech he made, he says at the end, go peacefully and go patriotically. And he didn't tell anyone to break into the Capitol or assault anyone. Ray Epps did. He did that. And also, how many unofficial acts has Biden done in his vacation beach home where we can't see the visitor logs? You see what I mean? This is the best ruling I think we could have hoped for, Mark. Again, presidential immunity's there, but personal acts, no immunity.
Well, I thought they were going to come up with something a lot more vague than this. This is pretty specific. And who are they going to allow determine what acts are official or not? I believe the lower courts, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
For the January 6th, I think those are already going to be kicked back to the lower courts already for we're talking about presidential immunity. I want to say, yeah. Let me see here.
Yeah. The Supreme Court did not define what these acts are. I think they basically said, the courts, whatever court will be hearing these, will determine that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The leftists are calling for Trump to be assassinated in response to the SCOTUS ruling today on Trump's immunity. Harry Sisson on X, according to the Supreme Court, Biden can now send in SEAL Team 6 to take all of them out. He could send in the military to take out Trump. He has immunity for official acts now. And then Chris LaCivita, I think that's Trump's campaign manager, said that he'll be getting a visit from the Secret Service for that tweet.
Good. He's paid directly by Biden, too. Harry Sisson is paid directly by Biden, the campaign.
From Jack Eason on X, Biden should have Trump killed and see what happens next. Might set dangerous precedents or whatever, but since conservatives have had to scramble to assert the president is king, legally he's in the clear. He could also bomb SCOTUS. Nothing of value there. So this is what the left does when things don't go their way.
We can't even say bloodbath. We can't even say bloodbath without getting in trouble, and they're allowed to say this?
AOC's already said she's drafting articles of impeachment for the Supreme Court justices on when they return to session. So this is what fascism and tyranny looks like. These people do not get their way, and they cry. All right, this is, what makes the United States so great. All right, we have the Supreme Court. From McGill's on X, correct me if I'm wrong, but does today's extreme court ruling mean a president could do something fascistic, like putting all Japanese Americans in an internment camp and then never be held accountable for it?
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah, that happened. Italian Americans as well.
Yeah.
So we've been waiting for this decision, Joe, for like 2 weeks now, since the court started releasing their rulings and things like that. Nancy Pelosi, today the Supreme Court has gone rogue with its decision, violating the foundational American principle that no one is above the law. Here we go again. The former president's claim of total presidential immunity is an insult to the vision of our founders who declared independence from a king. First of all, it's not total presidential immunity.
Now,
okay? They should be thrilled that the Supreme Court ruled this, because Biden let in between 10 and 15 million illegals?
Yep.
Could he be prosecuted for the murder of Laken Riley and all these other women that have been killed by illegal migrant crime?
Good point.
If you ask me, you probably could have if this Supreme Court wouldn't have ruled what they did today. So Hakeem Jeffries, oh yeah, insurrectionist in chief. Joe, we can't lose the House in November because I honestly believe if Trump wins and we lose the House, the Democrats won't certify the election after this.
You have a point. You wonder, like, how could they? Because for 4 years they cried about, they don't care. They just don't care. The rules don't apply for them. Look at the Supreme Court ruling. They don't respect the Supreme Court all of a sudden. All of a sudden, they don't care about the Supreme Courts. Just garbage people. Garbage people. You don't get your way, you
riot. For the most part, yeah. I mean, this was
George
big today.
George Soros has the Antifa like chained up like a dog and is just ready to unleash them. I'm telling you, we're going to see the summer of George Soros here. Summer of George.
No kidding. I mean, I wake up every day and I think to myself, I hope something bad doesn't happen today. I hope no riot breaks out. Or did you see what happened in France, Joe, in the last 24 hours after Marine Le Pen, her party, claimed victory in the first round of elections in the French parliamentary elections?
Let's actually jump to that real quick. So just to summarize, Marine Le Pen, her party, they won. They're considered far right. They won in the first round of yesterday's French election. They received 34%, beating the left-wing alliance, who only got 29%, and they destroyed Macron's party, who barely got 1/5 of the vote. And then what happened after, Mark? What happened immediately after, in the aftermath in France? Riots. Riots all over.
Big riots. Destruction. As bad as you could probably imagine in Paris and around France. She's not going to be the prime minister, and she's not going to be the president. Obviously, Macron's term doesn't end until 2027. But if they come out on top now, Macron's, from what I have heard, they go to a runoff. So now this left-wing alliance will run against the National Rally, Marine Le Pen's party. If Marine Le Pen's party comes out on top and wins the most seats, her protege, Jordan Bardella, will be the new prime minister of France. So what does that do? You know, how does Macron govern then? With 3 years left in his term, this is a guy who's dying to put troops on the ground in Ukraine.
What does it do for Zelensky? What does it do for Zelensky? That's a good point, too. He got to feel very alone after Joe Biden's debate performance, and then France, Macron getting shellackled.
Well, let's not forget, Joe, Nigel Farage picking up steam in England is also considered, quote-unquote, far-right.
Is this a worldwide MAGA movement? Is this a worldwide MAGA movement?
Well, Viktor Orban is now, I think the new president of something in Europe, the European Union maybe. I'm not sure what Viktor Orban's leadership position he now has. But he has instituted the slogan, "Make Europe Great Again."
There you go. MAGA all across the world. Talk about just the rising of the phoenix here. Wow.
MAGA and mega.
Yeah. Hey, mega MAGA. I like it. Ryan, wow, Ryan must really be paying attention today. He's a little ball of fire. All right. Let's move on from the French, and let's cover the last.
Can we get back to this Pride thing?
Yeah, the last story of Pride Month. So, do you just want to read the tweet from Savannah Hernandez?
Okay. So some of the videos that we saw coming out of the Pride celebration yesterday in San Francisco were some of the most disgusting, vile things I've ever seen on social media, or period. It's actually kind of hard to talk about. Men openly. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it on the radio. Masturbating, in public. There was a defecation zone where you could urinate or defecate on someone.
An actual zone for this.
Yes.
Wow.
Men walking around literally just naked with kids young kids also in the area. The masturbation part was one of the most heinous, sickening things I've ever seen in my life. Savannah Hernandez, who works for, I believe, I don't know if she's still with Turning Point Action or not. San Francisco Pride has been the most disturbing experience of my life. Fully erect nudists exposing themselves in front of children. Adults peeing on each other in public while others masturbate to it. I feel physically ill after witnessing this public event.
When did the whole public nudity thing become like a pride thing? And also, when did any of this classify it as like gay pride? Defecating and urinating on people. What does that have to do with gay pride? Anyone? I think it just... See, they hijacked... If I was gay, which I am so not gay, I'd be so mad that they hijacked my movement and stole it and made it into this. This is an abomination. Right?
It's so sick, Joe. It's like you almost don't even have words for it. Like, where's children in need services? Like, how can they normalize something like this? I mean, San Francisco has completely spiraled out of control to a point where I don't think we can even imagine what it's like.
No, I can't. I don't want to.
Especially if you have kids.
And it's allowed. It's just, there was probably police presence there, and they just probably let it go on because they're told they have to, maybe. I don't know. All right, we got to take our final break here, though. But when we come back, you're not going to believe this one. After everything we just told you, Jill Biden is on the cover of Vogue magazine. And Ryan, I can't believe I didn't even think to play the song Vogue by Madonna going on to the commercial.
Oh, that would have been good.
Bad move by me. Anyway, we'll be back to talk about this new magazine cover featuring Jill Biden on Vogue when we return to Thinking Logically on 99.3 FM WBVP. Cash for your house. PGHbuyers.com. If you have an unwanted house but don't want the hassle of selling, visit PGHbuyers.com to see if PGHbuyers.com can help. No inspections and a fair cash offer. Visit PGHbuyers.com to sell that unwanted property for a fair price today. It's Joe again from Thinking Logically, here to tell you about one of my favorite clothing items, the MyPillow hoodie. Two things I love the most about this hoodie are how it fits and how it feels. This hoodie is extremely roomy, and its terry cloth material makes it lighter than any other hoodie I own. Use promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings. The MyPillow hoodie. Get yours today. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Gullah with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Gullah of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond. You know, when Joe Biden shuffles in front of the cameras to answer scripted questions during the day, he lies like Don King. But what you don't know is, when he goes to sleep at night, he lies like an Egyptian king because he uses MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Grown only in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River, its long staple cotton makes it ultra soft and breathable. Use the promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings on this amazing product.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically here on 99.3 FM WBVP. We teased the story about Vogue magazine, and you're looking at the Vogue magazine, and at first glance, you might think to yourself, why in the hell is Alice Cooper on the cover of Vogue magazine? But it's actually Dr. Jill Biden, President Joe Biden's handler. So Jill Biden, for somehow, some way, is on the July cover of Vogue. And I think it dropped this morning. Vogue, the First Lady, Jill Biden. And then the quote, "We will decide our future." First Lady Dr. Jill Biden in a Ralph Lauren collection dress. I'm I'm not going to talk about what she's wearing. And this is from Alex Thompson on X. Per an editor's note at the top of the piece, Jill Biden talked to Vogue again yesterday and said they, quote, will not let those 90 minutes define the 4 years he's been president. We will continue to fight. Biden, she added, will always do what's best for the country. Why is she getting Vogue magazine covers after what happened this weekend?
She's the president.
You got to give me something. There's no reason. After that, if you already had her set up, you'd have been like, you know what? We're going to cancel. After everything that we just saw, we have to, you're literally, everyone's talking about you being the president's, handler, and we're going to put you on Vogue? I just don't know why these people get any attention at all. Any attention at all. And did you see it came out that Biden knows that he according to Joe Biden, he knows he looked terrible, and those images of him at the debate are going to live on and possibly ruin his presidency. I'm paraphrasing here, obviously, but they know. They know. I don't know why they're still trying to fake it. I can't figure it out. All right. Well, while Jill Biden was posing for the cover of Vogue magazine, the U.S. threat level went up. I believe it was just in military bases in Germany, Italy, Romania, Bulgaria. They were raised to threat level Charlie, which means there's a, quote, imminent threat of terrorism. It's the highest threat level in the last 10 years. So I'm glad it didn't disturb Jill's Vogue cover, Mark, but should we be worried about... I'm more worried about the terrorist event here in our country than overseas, but I guess we got to watch out for both.
Well, yeah. The fact that she's on the cover of Vogue, what was it? This is her third Vogue cover, I believe, Joe, right?
I didn't even know that fact. That makes me even more sick to my stomach.
Well, this is for those keeping score at home. Jill Biden, 3 Vogue covers. Melania Trump, 0. Listen, do you think for one second that she's going to go quietly, that she's going to say, you know what, Joe, let's pack it up and go back to Delaware and we'll live out our years in Rehoboth Beach? No. Once you get a taste of that power that she has now, because she's basically running the country, she's not giving it up. They're going to keep trotting him out there. I mean, you've seen the memes and stuff, weekend at Bernie's or weekend at Biden. That's like literally what it's like.
Hold the boat.
Just propping him up there, getting him out there, and she's the president. I am convinced now that she is the one that is making the decisions for this country. But we saw Steve Bannon go to jail today. He reported to Danbury Prison, I believe, in Connecticut.
Yes.
So he is not where Peter Navarro is, down in Miami, unfortunately. But he said he didn't give it 2 F's about going to jail. So he said he's going to convert the whole jail to MAGA, and he's going to come out more powerful than he was before he went in.
He will not get out, I don't think, until late October. It's about a week before the election. So that's a chess piece off the board. It's a shame. And he says, next man up. Is this show, Next Man Up? Someone else? Next man up. We're not going to stop. We're just going to keep on going until November 5th, where we're going to win. Also, it's also due to note that Biden at the debate, on Trump's legal woes and probably a lot of people in his administration's legal woes, he said there's going to be a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming around. He's got a whole range of issues he's got to face. Number one, how would Joe Biden know that unless he's talking with his DOJ or instructing his DOJ? Number two, I wonder if he was talking about Biden, because this is also a tweet from Cernovich on X. There's no path to removing Biden. Kamala Harris would have to be the candidate. It can't be Newsom. White male savior would divide the base. Democrats are in a mess. Expect Garland and Ray to make more arrests. They might stage a terrorist attack and blame it on MAGA. Perilous times. And you see they're already throwing Steve Bannon in jail for refusing to comply with a subpoena that's pretty much a bogus subpoena. Am I right or am I wrong?
Oh, you're right. What was I going to say here, Joe, related to this? Oh, so let's say that Biden is going to be he's not going to drop out, right? So what are the options here? You're starting to see the media now actually come back around in like, if this is Game of Thrones, People are bending the knee already in a matter of 72 to 96 hours later. But this is from Election Wizard on X from Bloomberg. They're quoting Bloomberg here. Biden's campaign is going on the attack against the chorus of donors, consultants, officials, and media voices calling on him to drop out of the 2024 race after his devastating debate performance. The strategy will be remembered as a display of either remarkable foresight or incredible hubris. And we're seeing the media actually kind of go back on some of these things here that they said Thursday and Friday. So looks like that they're getting their marching orders from someone. I don't know, but it seems like, as we know from our boy Jacob Chansley, the Mockingbird media is always in lockstep, Joe.
Yes, they are. It's just one side of one feather of the bird, another feather of the bird, one wing of the bird, the other wing of the bird. The media, the three-letter agencies, they work hand in glove. All right, speaking of subpoenas, so apparently Merrick Garland, the House Judiciary Committee sued Attorney General Merrick Garland for access to the audio of Biden's interview with the special counsel. That was today at 12:17 p.m., so we'll wait on that. And also, before we get into our last story, Independence Day this weekend, Epstein, back in the news. So a judge in Palm Beach County just released the grand jury records in the 2008 Jeffrey Epstein criminal case. If I'm not mistaken, Donald Trump was a witness for the prosecution in this case. But Mark, why do they tease this Epstein stuff, this Epstein documents, Epstein case list? We never get any information. It's just like the story comes out and then there's nothing. Hey, we can't tell you who's on the list. It's the funniest thing ever.
You know what, Joe? When I saw this come out like a little bit ago, I didn't even bother like clicking on it or looking into it. I'm like, this is probably nothing. Go about my day. You know, whatever. I mean, you're not going to. It's nothing. It's not going to be anything earth shattering. So why even bother?
Another Epstein list is coming out this afternoon. Seich, we're not telling you who's on it. It just.
All the names are redacted.
Yeah, they're all redacted, but you could see the first letter for some of them. It's stupid. Just release the list. They're talking about children here. If you really care about children. All right, we got about 3 minutes left, Mark. Independence Day this weekend. You know how I feel about historical events, and Independence Day is the biggest historical event in this country. So let's remind our audience that the people that signed the Declaration of Independence, 56 Americans, by signing the Declaration of Independence, 56 Americans pledged their lives, their fortune, and their sacred honor. It was no idle pledge. 9 signers died of wounds during the Revolutionary War. 5 of them were captured, tortured, or imprisoned. Many of their wives and children were killed, jailed, mistreated, or left penniless. 4 signers lost their sons in the Continental Army or had sons who were captured and tortured. 12 signers' houses were looted and burned to the ground by the British. 17 signers lost everything they owned. But none of these people ever defected. Their honor, like the nation they created, remained intact. So, Mark, a lot of similarities today between 1776. We can compare the Revolutionary battles to the battles we face today. Thursday was the Battle of Trenton, and we're not stopping until we have a victory like Yorktown. Mark?
No, we can't. I mean, nothing. Listen, for anyone out there still listening, thinking this is over and Trump has won and we've won the war. We haven't won anything yet. This is far from over. Do not count your chickens before they hatch. Do not go out there and act cocky to your Democratic friends, thinking we've won this thing, because we haven't. There is a long way to go. We are 4 months from Election Day, and while all the polls are looking good, we're up in PA by 4 now. We're up in New Hampshire. We are gaining momentum more and more every day. A lot can happen between now and then. A black swan event. Who knows? I mean, it could be anything. Another pandemic. Juan Merchan might sentence Trump to prison. Probably will on July 11th. So
house arrest minimum. That'll play
out.
House arrest minimum after what we saw on Thursday with Biden. House arrest minimum. Ryan, anything before we're reaching the end of the episode? Let's wrap it up. Ryan?
Great show as always, guys. I do want to say to everybody happy 4th of July, because I believe, Joe, we won't be back till next Monday, correct?
Correct.
Happy 4th of July, everybody.
Mark, anything before the big holiday here?
God bless America. Thank you to Ryan. Thank you to all of our sponsors, all of our listeners. One of our favorite holidays here, guys. 4th of July, Independence Day.
All right. Well, like Ryan said, we'll be back Monday. So enjoy your Independence Day and your independence. We don't know how much longer we'll have it. We may have to fight for it. Right now, we just fight using words and social media. Please, I don't want to have to grab the muskets. We shouldn't have to grab the muskets. Thanks a lot. This has been Joe Corsai from Thinking Logically here on 99.3 FM WBVP. See you guys Monday.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
You're listening to 99.